All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our February 20th, 2025 Ascension Parish Council meeting. We'll call to order, and I'm going to ask Mr. Joseph if you would please lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Bow our head, dear Lord, bless this great country, bless this great state, bless this great parish, and bless all the members that make the decision for this afternoon, and also bless the armed forces service members that give us the freedom we have today. Thank you, dear Lord. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Agenda item number 2, roll call. Ms. Secretary, Mr. Turner and Mr. Arsenault are absent. All other members are present. Agenda item number 4, the public comment sign-in period. If anybody would like to speak on any of our agenda items, please come get a green or red card from Ms. McKee over here, and she'll get that up to us. And when we get to that agenda item, you have 3 minutes at the podium to speak about it. Item number 5, presentations. We do not have any. Admin, no presentations tonight, right? Okay. And item number 6 is the parish president's report. Mr. Quintmore.
Thank you, Chairman Lawson. Good evening, Council. Real short and quick tonight. So nothing like our previous snow day, but OEP is monitoring the weather, and just in case we have to have crews ready to respond for the cold weather, but doesn't look like it's going to be anything like we experienced a few weeks ago. Join us Tuesday, February 25th at 11 a.m. at the Frank Sotil Jr. Pavilion to celebrate the transfer of Lala Field from Ascension Parish government to the city of Donaldsonville. Super excited about that day. And before the next council meeting, we will be in Mardi Gras season. And so I just want to remind everyone that our offices will be closed on Tuesday, March 4th for the holiday. And that concludes the report, Chair. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. And I do want to, so unfortunately I was out of town 2 weeks ago, but I do want to welcome our newest member, Ms. Tia Starr. I was absent whenever she was appointed to, for the District 11 seat, so thank you very much. And it's a very selfless act, outside of the huge salary that you're now getting. Very, very selfless act, so we're excited to have you, and thank you. Huge salary, huge. All right, agenda item number 7 is the consent agenda, and I would like to make an announcement that we no longer have to read our consent agenda. So they changed that. Yeah, a little applause. There we go. I like that. I like that. That's yeah. So we no longer have to read it. So at this point, the chair will entertain a motion. Would anybody like to pull anything from the consent agenda for further discussion?
Motion approved.
A motion approved by Mr. P.T. and a second by Mr. Vornado. Any objection? Hearing none? So moved. Don't y'all all get up and leave at one time. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Look, I seen them. I seen them. I don't know who's happier, administration or Miss McKee. It's a toss-up. We got to read all that. Okay, let's see. I'm goofing off. I lost my spot. All right, 8, introduction of ordinances. 8A, introduction of ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from mixed use MU2 to small plan unit development zoning review ID PZ 3401.24, track X and tracks Y1 of the Charles C. Brown property for Primax Properties LLC located on the north side of LA Highway 42, approximately 1,400 feet east of Old Jefferson Highway. All right, so we have a motion introduced by Mr. Hillensbeck. 8B, introduction of a motion to declare surplus and authorize the sale and or transfer of miscellaneous movable equipment. Motion introduced by Mr. Vornado. 8C, introduction of an ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 13, Occupational License, Taxes, and Regulations to add Article 15, Food, Truck, and Trailer Vendors. Motion introduced by Ms. Alonzo. 8D, introduction of ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, Parks and Recreation, Article 1 in general, Section 15.3, Mobile Food Units in Ascension Parish Parks to provide for the operations and fees for the use of Ascension Parish government parks or Ascension Parish food truck cart by a food truck or trailer vendor. Motion introduced by Mr. Hillensbeck. And 8E, to revoke and abandon a portion of right-of-way in accordance with LARS 48701 for the right-of-way referred to as Market Center Boulevard, located on Highway 73, Ascension Parish, is moved to the council via UDC 17.4050. Motion introduced by Ms. Alonso. All right, and on to our public hearings for the ordinances. 9A, the reading of an ordinance, DC 24.01, to amend Appendix 2, Section 17.2051 of the Unified Land Developmental Code to create a new section for food truck and trailer vendors. Mr. Dupatti.
Purpose to amend Appendix 2 Development Code of the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code to add a new section entitled Section 17-2051 Food Truck and Trailer Vendor. Whereas the Parish of Ascension desires to implement use standards for food truck and trailer vendors, now therefore be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, that Appendix 2 Development Code of the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code be amended and supplemented as further described in Exhibit A attached here to and made a part hereof. Repeal all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby and henceforth repeal severability. If any provision of this ordinance is held to be invalid, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions herein which can be given effect without the invalid provisions. And to this end, the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable. Effective date, the ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance having been submitted to vote thereon as follows.
Motion to open the public hearing by Mr. Robert with a second by Mr. Hillensbeck. Motion to close by Ms. Alonso, a second by Mr. Vornado. And I have a motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Hillensbeck, and I do have a question or comment by Mr. Petey.
Bear with me here, Section 4A of this ordinance. I've got a little pushback about residential driveway storage, limiting the ability of somebody to store this in their residential driveway. To be honest, I'd like to strike that from this if we can. So I'd like to make a motion to strike that 4A section.
Okay, so we have an amendment by Mr. PT to eliminate Section 4A with a second by Mr. Robert. So is there any objection? And we're only voting on the amendment first, and then we'll vote on the ordinance as a whole. All right, any objection to the amendment? All right, hearing none, so the amendment is good. Now, is there any other question or comments on the ordinance as amended? All right, so I do have a motion by Mr. Hillensbeck, but I do need a second. All right, a second by Mr. Vornado. All right, any objection to the ordinance as amended? Hearing none, so moved. Thank you. Or you stay right there. 9D, reading of an ordinance, ZT 24.02, to amend Appendix 1 zoning tables, Parish Unified Land Developmental Code to add food truck and trailer vendors. Mr. Dupatti.
Zoning tables of the Unified Land Development Code to add food truck and trailer vendors. Whereas Ascension Parish is a local governmental subdivision as defined by Article 6, Section 44 of the Louisiana Constitution, 1974, and whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body within this jurisdiction, and whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4, 1993 identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish, and whereas this code is incorporated as Appendix 1, zoning tables of the Parish Unified Land Development Code adopted February 18, 2021, and now therefore be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that the permitted uses by district zoning table in Appendix 1 of the Unified Land Development Code is hereby amended as further described in Exhibit A attached here to and made part hereof. Repeal all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby and henceforth repeal severability. If any provision of this article is held to be invalid, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions herein which can be given effect without the invalid provisions, and to this end, the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable. Effective date, this ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon is as follows.
Sure. All right, so I have a motion by Mr. Robert and a second by Mr. Hillensbeck. And we do have an amendment that Mr. Turner is going to offer.
Chairman Malonzo, that was to open the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to close by Mr. Vornado.
Second.
And a second by Ms. Petey. All right, so now I'll accept a motion to move the ordinance.
That amendment, Chairman, that amendment is for the previous ordinance, so you're going to need to reconsider that previous ordinance.
Let me see, 2017. Oh, I seen the 24.01, not the 17. To eliminate. All right, so Travis, you would like to offer this amendment on the previous one?
You just need a motion to reconsider.
Okay.
Motion to reconsider.
Motion to reconsider 9C by Mr. Turner with a second by Ms. PT. And so we already have one amendment, correct, Ms. McKee, that we approved? And so now the second amendment is going to eliminate the section 17.2051.4, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do I need to read that into the record, Ms. McKee?
No,
The paragraph?
no.
Okay.
The amended motion y'all made to adopt that ordinance was the first thing, which was the elimination of that section which talks about where you can park a truck. The second amendment is the discussion that Travis had at the last meeting about whether or not the parish can revoke a license that's issued by the city of Gonzales. So that's to amend the language that's in the ordinance to that language. So you need to read that language into the ordinance.
Okay. So we're amending section 17.2051.4. All right, but it says in parentheses right here to eliminate.
That was the first one. Y'all made that motion already.
Okay.
It's the second one.
All right, and so we're adding 17.2051.5. Okay. Huh? Well, you walk in 5 minutes late and hand me this right here. Getting this on the fly. And send them all the way on time. Yeah, yeah. Turner's Tacos is out, I'll tell you that. All right. Let's see, so we already approved the First Amendment. The Second Amendment is going to add 17.2051.5, and that is going to read, the zoning official or planning and development director is authorized to revoke a food truck and trailer vendor's license that has been issued by the parish of Ascension and by the zoning official or planning and development director is authorized to request that the city of Gonzales revoke a food truck and trailer vendor's license if he or she determines that the vendor's operations are violating any of the zoning and or operational requirements as established by this code. They may also issue any zoning violations to the property owner where the food truck vendor is operating. So I have a motion by Mr. Turner to add that section. I need a second. All right, so, and I got a second by Mr. Hillinsbeck. Any objection to the second amendment of the paragraph I just read? All right. Now we will re-vote on the total ordinance with those two amendments. I need a motion by Mr. Hillinsbeck, a second by Mr. Joseph. Any objection to the ordinance as amended twice? Hearing none? So moved. That's how you do that, Travis. All right, I'm sorry. So we are going, let me see, Ms. Secretary, can I just go
Yeah,
right back to F?
You already had a motion to close the public hearing,
Yep.
so yes, F.
All right, so 9F, and I have a motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Vornado on 9F. Need a second? Second. A second by Ms. PT. Any objection? Hearing none? So moved. 9G, reading of an ordinance, ZT 24.03, to amend Appendix 1 zoning tables of the Ascension Parish Unified Land Developmental Code to add food truck parks. Mr. Dupatti.
Purpose to amend Appendix 1 zoning tables of Unified Land Development Code to add food truck parks, whereas Ascension Parish is a local government subdivision as defined by Article 6, Section 44 of the Louisiana Constitution, 1974, whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body for this within this jurisdiction, and whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4, 1993 identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish, and whereas the code is incorporated as Appendix 1 zoning tables of the Parish Unified Land Development Code adopted February 18, 2021, and now therefore be ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that the permitted uses by district zoning table in Appendix 1 of the Unified Land Development Code is hereby amended as further described in Exhibit 8, attached here to and made a part hereof. Repeal all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith or hereby and henceforth repeal severability. If any provision of this ordinance is held to be invalid, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions herein, which can be given effect without the invalid provisions, and to this end, the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable. Effective date, this ordinance shall be in full effect permitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to vote. The vote thereon is as follows.
Motion to open public hearing by Mr. Robert, a second by Mr. Hillensback. Motion to close by Mr. Vornado, a second by Mr. Petey. Motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Robert, a second by Mr. Vornado. Any objection? Any comment? Hearing none, so move. 9J, reading of an ordinance, ZT-24.01, to amend Appendix 1 zoning tables of Ascension Parish Unified Land Developmental Code to add solar farms per ordinance adopted on October 3rd, 2024. Mr. Dupatti.
Purpose to amend Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code, Appendix 2 Development Code to add Section 17-2038 solar farm conditional use. Whereas the Parish of Ascension desires to encourage solar energy production investment by providing a fair and predictable process for deployment of solar farms while enabling the parish to promote the management of these facilities in the overall interest of the public health, safety, and welfare, and wherefore the parish recognizes that solar farms are important to delivering environmentally conscious electrical power and capacity to the electrical grid for service to homes and businesses within the parish, and whereas the parish intends to fully comply with state and federal law to the extent it preempts or conflicts with local municipal control, now therefore be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Council that Appendix 2, Development Code of Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code shall be amended by adding the following Section 17-2038 that will read as more fully described in Exhibit A attached here to and made a part hereof, severability. In the event that any portion of this ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provision and shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance. Effective date, this ordinance should be in full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to vote. The vote thereon is as follows.
Motion to open public hearing by Mr. Hillensback, a second by Mr. Vornado. Motion to close by Mr. Vornado, a second by Ms. Alonso. Motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Vornado, second by Ms. Petey. Any questions? Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. And 9M, reading of an ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium-intensity residential to crossroads commercial zoning review IDPZ-3566.24 lots 4A and 4B of Annette Morton located on the south side of LA Highway 621, approximately 720 feet east of LA Highway 44. Mr. Dupatti.
Purpose, this ordinance amends the official zoning designation for Lot E1 attached legal description from medium-intensity residential to crossroad commercial. This rezone is identified as zoning review IDPZ 3566.25. Whereas Ascension Parish is a local government subdivision that defined by Article 6, Section 44 of the Louisiana Constitution, 1974. And whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body over the zoning and regulation within its jurisdiction. And whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4, 1993 identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish, and whereas the official zoning map for Ascension Parish was last adopted on March 8, 2016, whereas the Parish Council reserves the authority to make changes to the official zoning map by ordinance, and whereas this request has been processed in compliance with procedures set forth, be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that the official zoning map of Ascension Parish, Louisiana is amended to reflect the property identified in Exhibit A as crossroad commercial as the official zoning designation. Severability in the event any portion of this ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provision and shall not affect the validity of the remaining portion of the ordinance. Effective date, this ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. Exhibits A, legal description, B, plat map, C, aerial zoning map. Adoption of this ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing by Mr. Hillensback, a second by Mr. Vornado. Motion to close by Mr. Vornado, a second by Mr. Hillensback. Motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Vornado, a second by Ms. Petey. Any objections? Any comments? Hearing none, so moved. Motion adjourned by Mr. Hillensback, a second by Mr. Vornado, and we are adjourned. Thank you.